Good morning, everyone. So let's see what we have today. I think we're finishing the reverse de la riva stuff today. So right now, I think we've had 2 or 3 lessons on reverse de la riva. Today we'll finish it off. Gonna be mostly kind of countering it. A little bit of a kind of advanced kind of lesson, but should be straightforward. Morning. Let's turn this music down, it's too loud. Alright, so like always, I'll recap quickly and then we'll move on to today's stuff. Fortunately, I didn't get time to film some of the new stuff I wanted to film, so I had to use some old videos, but nonetheless. So first of all, we talked about the ankle versus frames. We should know by now, ankle grips when the person is leaning back, frames if you need to feel safe. Here's what the correct leg and arm positioning looks like. So that foot on the shoulder, our reverse de la riva intact and our frames in place. Today we're going to look at what happens if we don't have the foot on the hip briefly, but more importantly, we're going to look at how to counter the inversions on top. So we're going to work at both on the attacks and the defense today. Here's our knee slice prevention, which is just exactly the same move. Get your frames in place and you should feel relatively safe. Here comes our first sweeping class that we did. If the person's pressuring us, we try to do the over the head roll like this. It's a basic arm drag. Again, I'm just gonna blast through them because we already did these, but the lessons are on YouTube. We have the arm drag to the one leg X get up. Looks something like this. Or X guard setup, get up. The other section we looked at was how to recover guard. This is just basic re-guarding where I come back to collar and sleeve. Then we can start our attacking chain. We had the de la riva recovery, which looks something like this, where I base my foot and I come back to de la riva, so I complete that instead. These are the sweeps when the person is standing now. So now it's ankle grip because the person's not pressuring us. The first one we had was this tripod sweep where we extend the de la riva hook behind the far leg and trip them up. We have Kiss of the Dragon, which is what we're going to look at today, countering, which looks like this. We're gonna look at the early, late, and really late scenarios on how to escape from that. We had a few oddballs like the lasso guard from reverse de la riva, which can be played, which can also be a spider guard, same exact sweep. Here's a combination of the twist sweep into a spin under. Basically a Kiss of the Dragon followed by a lasso sweep. And then we had a look at the passing kind of side. This is me kind of breaking the reverse de la riva with a knee slice, foot on the hand on the hip, and blasting through. We looked at the different types of long step, especially no-gi. It's a bit different. Where I go over the shoulder. In the gi, I'll just grab the collar. We had the banana split pass, which was like a long step, but I dive behind the legs instead. And I stretch my hook out. So these are kind of pressure / mid-range passes. Then we had a look at the standing passes, which look like this. We had the step out from Gordon Ryan, where he just pulls up on the head, blocks the far leg and steps out. We had the pressuring and then backing away to do a leg drag. And then the last thing we looked at was the leg lock entries, which unfortunately did not save in the PowerPoint, so we lost all of our leg locks. But I do have the clips somewhere. But we had our step over kind of entry like this. I do have the clips, so we can look at the clips instead. Just to give a quick recap, because that was the most recent one we did, which was the leg lock entries. So we had the steamer lock that we need to be a bit careful about when being on the bottom, which looks like this. Like I said, it's quite an easy one to kind of counter. We will look at the counter today, but the most of the entries we did was the inversions to 411. So we had reverse the riva to 50-50, just me taking my leg out, hooking it in. That's my 50-50 entry. We had the near and the far side saddle entry, which was this one, where I take my hook out, insert my leg through, and that's our near side entry. And then we had the far one, which was the Minari roll. There we go there. Those are the main ones, but they're all on YouTube, so you can have a look at those in there. In terms of the PowerPoint, I forgot to press the save button. I'll press it now. But today, the main class is gonna be, whenever you're playing reverse the riva, there's this really annoying thing that happens, which is, let's see if they have it here, which is just people controlling this shin of yours. You could have a perfect reverse the riva, but like I said earlier, we wanted our foot to be somewhere around the shoulder, like this, or maybe inside of the hip, to have a decent control and keep our partner slightly away. But what can happen sometimes is they control your shin really well, and you just can't kind of put those feet in the shoulder or on the hip, and you're kind of left in a annoying kind of position. So I'm here, looks like this. These are the old tapes, but you can see Steve's gonna be doing the move here. He's trying to get this foot onto my hip, but I've got really nice control of his hip, and it's difficult for him to get the optimum position. There, he's trying to go over and under. That's your 2 attempts of trying to get some form of shield. Okay, so that's always your first kind of protocol. Try to get it, and if you can't, now we can see it's really difficult for me to get on the inside. So instead, I'm going to try to push it away. It looks a bit tricky, but I'm just going to put my the shin across the bend of the elbow and just push, and that should kind of clear it. There. Once you clear it, you don't want the guy to put his hand back on the hip and then reset the whole drill again. So in this little case, we're gonna hook the biceps by grabbing the wrist, and we're gonna do we normally see this in half guard when someone's trying to over-unders bravo sweep you or pass you, but it's just a flare with a knee twist, and that should sweep the person. So again, you're trying to get that perfect leg positioning. They're doing a very good job blocking you, so you're gonna put tip of your knee onto the elbow, push. That should clear their arm away, and before they regain the same position, I'm gonna just hold on to the wrist, flare my elbow, flare that elbow, and come up on top. So that's your first option in terms of people blocking your leg. Okay. Next one's a bit easier, which is an arm drag. So again, we have our reverse de la riva positioning is blocking there, and my foot is not in the best position. Now, there's two ways they can block it. The first little way we had there was the foot, the hand on the hip, and the flaring of the elbow. And the second way they can do it is by holding onto your shin. And that stops most of the moves on the bottom, so you have to deal with this wrist. And a good way to do it is by doing this arm drag. Grab the wrist, drag, and come up on the single. Now, what you can do is, in the gi, they normally hold some form of material. So instead of going for the wrist like we did here, we actually go for the elbow. Because what happens is, if they keep the grip, or they keep kind of some form of like control of my leg, and I pull on the elbow at the same time, you kind of give them this like electric shock kind of pressure on the elbow, and they're forced to let go, otherwise they'll hurt their own elbow. But that's just the normal drag there. Now those are the two kind of options there. The last one we're going to take a look at is the latest kind of option we have, where we haven't been able to beat this arm, so they're doing a great job passing. So instead, I'm going to do my best to push the head away. So you can get a bit nasty there and do a throat push over here, but the main goal is to get up to my elbow like this, so I can insert that shin and keep that distance away. And now it's just a basic get up and pull guard again. Again, you're gonna get past this. You take that collar grip, punch grip, push, and recover. So 3 ways to counter our not so good reverse de la riva guard. The early options are, so we need to deal with the blocking of the hip. So try to scrape it using your knee, and you can counter attack any way you like. Arm drag's not a bad option if they're grabbing your shin. And the bailout if you're really on a threat of being passed. Get up on your elbow, push, and recover our guard. That's kind of the only kind of recovery thing we haven't looked at yet in terms of beginner kind of stuff. So now moving on to the hard stuff. This is when they're inverting underneath, so we're gonna go back to countering the reverse de la riva. And a couple of lessons ago I mentioned that knowing how to spin underneath is really important, otherwise you get countered pretty much. So here's a kind of a optimum kiss the dragon, where I keep my knees close to my chest and I do the move. So we're going to be countering that. So we're going to start off quite late. So here, the person is already getting the kiss of the dragon on you. You shouldn't be standing at this point. Would rather be shutting the door really early. But like this, we might as well look at it first. Shutting the door is just where I've realized the person's reverse de la riva. So instead of standing up, I'm just going to stay one knee down And as they go for the kiss of the dragon, I'm just going to sit to my hip, and that's what shutting the door means. Just means you're shutting that little space underneath your legs for them to go through. After you shut the door, they'll kind of get stuck in this inverted position, which then you can counterattack many different ways. The first counterattack we learn, this one here, where we swim our arm over and we get them into this nasty stack, and then we can do a drag and pass to this side. Now you can't see that, but there's a little bit of leg work over here where we're passing kind of almost like a windshield one way to the other. Now you only be able to do that if your opponent on the bottom is a bit stubborn and he persists on inverting with a wide leg. So here he swings his legs to try to pass. That's what gives you the move. He could just see that he can't get underneath and give up here and come back, and then I wouldn't be able to do this move. Because he's persisting on the inversion, it makes it a lot easier for you to do the drag. Another kind of shutting the door slash variation is the smash pass, which is just the sprawl heavily. Now you can do this as they're spinning underneath. In this case, we're doing it because he's actually managed to get the shin across. So this is just one stage before he gets underneath, and we're just gonna kind of sprawl backwards and hope to break the arm positioning. Now the only reason why this works is because he hasn't got underneath me quite yet, and because he's got a weighted grip, it means that my knee can move quite easily to the side, and I kind of land in the smashed half guard position, and then you can go to your passes accordingly. Against someone good, that is difficult to do, but is one of your options. Your other options are using the wrist spin to kind of stop them from getting underneath. So a lot of times people use their arm to reach for your trousers, to reach for something to help them to invert through. And if you ever see an available wrist like this, pin it to the mat, and that basically brings their shoulder down and they can't invert any longer. Again, that's only going to be available to you if they're looking for some form of far trousers grip. That's why it was so important when I was teaching you the Kiss of the Dragon to know the correct leg, knee positioning and how to invert through, to not give the person all of these counters that we're looking at. So far we looked at shutting the door, which is just sitting to your hip. If they continue to spin underneath, you get them into a stacking position. Looked at the smash pass. If you're able to drop your knee down to the mat and sprawl, usually because they don't have a good grip of your knee here, you can go into the smashing scenario. And if you see any wrist available, pin it to the floor and you should get a nice kind of position. The only other issue with you being on one knee down is tornado guard of some sort. This is where they deliberately break the rule of keeping their knees to their chest, because they're gonna invert all the way to the far side in this case. So So you know, kiss the dragon, you want to go through the legs. But for the tornado, you want to go opposite. You want to go all the way to the other side. So in this case, you want to put as much pressure as you can by sitting on their leg. The more you lean forward in that direction, the more likely you are to get swept over the top. So you put pressure down, and then they're forced to recover guard by coming back. And here you can go to any pass you like, but double unders is kind of an easy one to come back to. So I did want to film the tornado. So all of these I wanted to make a chain, but Kirsten's being at work, so I couldn't film any of the tornado stuff for you guys. But tornado guard is basically a kiss of the dragon where you swing your leg further than you wanted to, and then you kind of leg press the person over the top. Looks like that. Okay, so this is all countering the kiss of the dragon but one knee up. That's the main difference between this section and the next one I'm about to show you. So if you're one knee down, you're gonna usually use these counters. If you're standing, you're gonna be kind of it's a little bit more dangerous, but you still have some available little moves that you can do. First one is this kind of leg drag slash back take scenario where the person has spine underneath like this and is almost to the other side, but before they get their knee all the way through, you're gonna put a shin behind their knee like this. Now you're just gonna fall and swing your legs to the other side, and you end up in this kind of leg binding scenario where you can come up on top and maybe force a scramble that you end up in a good position. Again, very tricky to see. You've got to see it coming by a mile. This grip, really important because it slows down the position, but you got to dive underneath the person quite fast to do this. Now there's a newer version of this, which is an actual back take, which is kind of the same, but a little bit more tricky to do. Hopefully I can show it to you guys next week or something. But that's kind of a really early counter if you're quite brave or you know this move really well. You gotta practice it a bit, but it's not a bad one. So we're gonna get deeper and deeper, so later and later in these scenarios here. The second one is spin underneath, and he's behind me this time. Before they get the butterfly hooks in, cup my hip, and then pull for the back take, we've got to do something. One option is to insert a crab ride hook back. So in this case, with my free leg, which is this one, I'm going to hook the inside of the thigh and back step with the other leg. Kind of a funny move, but works quite well actually. So you can see I'm just using he's just using his leg kind of weight to push the person over to a side where they're not facing the same direction as me. There, boom. Now in a better position than the other person, and you can come up on top. Really weird position, but it's quite good. If you can't remember this one, which I forget all the time, you've got an easier one, which is just crab riding the person back. which is you just hook their leg just like they hook yours, but on the inside, and you end up in this kind of 50-50 funny position. And if you just keep kind of kicking and moving around, it's very hard for the person to take your back, and you might end up free. Not certainly, but you can try. So it also makes it harder for them to sit up and grab your hips. So if you forget everything, this is not a bad one to just kind of do. And then the last one, which probably one of my favorites, it's a Marcelo Garcia move, where we get really late into the person's actually gonna take our back. So he's got his hip grip, he's gonna pull you down and then extend you to take you back. So when this happens, he puts his arm behind his back and he looks for an underhook and he just spins. In worst case scenario, you land in a triangle if you don't take your arm back. Your other arm is not free. Close guard, or best half guard. So again, it's really late. You almost got your back taken. Swing in for underhook and face your opponent. So that's all our counters for Kiss of the Dragon. So you can see there's so many options, and since people always teach Kiss of the Dragon, everybody goes for it from reverse de la riva most of the time. You can have so many counter moves depending on how they invert and how late or early it is. So just to recap today's stuff, I advise you to shut the door because it's the safest. You don't lose any position. You should just sit to your hip. If you do the mistake of inverting too much, you can go into this stacking scenario. You can smash pass, or you sprawl them. Wrist pin and sprawl if you see a wrist coming through. Be careful of the tornado guard. Just know don't lean too much forward and try to double unders. And if you're standing, which is a bit more dangerous, you've got to have your counters ready. We've got the shin behind kind of leg drag bind. We have our crab ride counter. So you wheelbarrow, you get your hook inside and you kick your leg back. They get both hooks in, you get both hooks on the other side, and then just kind of just keep turning and spinning and you should be able to scramble yourself free. And the Marcelo Garcia to save us from some embarrassment. So as the person's pulling you down and extending, reach for an underhook, and there. Now the best way to finish this would be with this arm here. Get my drawing tool, push their leg, and then you won't be stuck in half guard or close guard. But do be careful with the triangle as well. Any questions so far? Fire them away. If not, I'm just gonna move on to some rows now. I looked at a few mistakes that we did. Gonna find one that we haven't looked at yet. Should be this one. These are our most recent rows, I think. Yeah, once you're good at kind of countering reverse de la riva, you kind of enjoy people playing reverse de la riva on you. I find it way easier to counter than to actually play it. playing it, there's so many things that you gotta kind of multitask. That's why I don't like staying on it for too long. I'd rather recover to a safer guard like collar and sleeve, or De La Riva instead. But there's masters of Rust De La Rivas as well. You gotta practice. Alright, let's see how bad we did this round. Now this is the, I think it's a flow row, but we'll just look at it. Nice little one leg X entry, or X guard entry there. Hello. Hello, hello, hello. Hello, hello, hello. We're back. Oh, we come back now. I don't know what happened. I got a crash on the streaming thing, and I think it just closed it. That's nice that you can come back. I thought I'd have to reset and start the whole stream again. It's just some weird connection thing. Gets one leg exit. Now I did this bad counter. Not bad, but you shouldn't be turning like this from one leg X normally. I kind of do it just because there's one back take that you can do, but because he's holding my leg, I shouldn't be doing this, to be honest. But it is. Let me just get my drawing too. There you go. But let's see what happens anyway. Nice footlock entry for him here, where he goes butterfly half. Let me just do this because it's easier for me to see. That was a matrix back take attempt of his. That's a nice little lesson we should do one day, a matrix guard. But problem here is he didn't control my hips very well, so I could just back step. Gives him 50-50. It's not bad, except the bottom position here. Nice little pressure position to one side. Ends up in a triangle. Now I've been working on De La Riva a lot, so that's what we're practicing here. Stepping a bit too close to me. I could double ankle sweep him, but I think because we were just kind of flowing a bit, didn't really look at. There's a matrix entry that we were also working on. See, I'm trying to get this leg behind his calf there, but I can't. He does a nice little dive underneath. We need to fix the angles that I filmed this, because whenever we're here, it's just you can't see anything. Crab right roll, very nice. Top hook throws in. Yeah, I'm just following our back lesson. I'm either going to do back to the floor or control the wrist. Nice little arm trap here. Don't know how I got my arm free, but I got it. Blocking the top hook. Here he should deal with my wrist instead of kind of trying to force me back. Because he didn't deal with my wrist, I was able to get my wrist in between us, and now basically he's lost the back in most cases. Knee shield half guard. He tries to pressure me, but he forgets that I can take my leg out. Because this is kind of a flow route, I'm just trying to give him different moves so he can think about. See him pulling up on my De La Riva hook there. There's a long step, which was nice. That's our reverse De La Riva counter. Here, remember last time he kept the collar grip and I was attacking his arm. This time he's a bit more wary of it. I think I'm trying to get a butterfly hook here. Yeah, I did manage to get a butterfly hook, but he's pressuring quite well. Now what I should have done here, instead of trying to sweep him to this side, I should have just forced him to this side over here, because he doesn't have much base. So he clears the hook, ends up in 3/4 guard. Are we in hot? Oh, I'm still playing butterfly here. De La Riva again. Pulls up on my De La Riva hook. That's a really nice counter. Here I'm just blocking the leading edge. He should be switching sides a bit more, but again, I think this is a warm-up row, so we're not. There's another dive under pass. Here's a Barata Plata attempt. Another matrix guard kind of opening, kick to the face. Another matrix there. He sits back on this one, so I was able to kind of sweep him. Not sure what happens there. I roll on top, and it's a 50-50 battle here now. So from the matrix guard, I should be kind of collapsing his knee a bit more. I think there, that was in the last second, that was a 50-50 back take attempt where I clear my knee and I'm trying to drag and pull the person up. I think that's time. I just left the camera opening. This is me giving some tips afterwards. I think one of them was from 3/4 guard, like this, to clear the butterfly hook there. He can just kind of switch his base, so you can just see me doing that. Today I'm going to use my elbow to push, pass it to the other leg, and then I'm going to climb on top. I think that was one of his moves. That's him attempting to fix it. Then that's me explaining how if you position it really well, it's harder for me to get down my platter, because that's the biggest threat with when doing these passes. But he should be able to force the half guard in most cases. But yeah, so that's me showing the difference between switching a hook and stepping behind. If I try to step this behind to clear the hook, I sweep myself. So watch this. Sorry, not that one. This one. So here, I try to step off and I give him the butterfly sweep. Instead, I'm gonna stretch and slice through and then come back. But yeah, but for my notes here, I've got to work on matrix guard. Gotta control the knee a bit more. Control the knee. And there's nothing major here for him. It was just standing. Sometimes he's giving me the double ankle pick and that last position that we worked on. And I've got to work on a counter to this. Pulls up on the riva hook. So that one I got caught in it a few times, where he just pulls my riva and then throws the hook away. Here I was just able to switch to the other side, but I think I should work on a better counter. Cool. Plenty to work on. But that's it for today, guys. Hope you have a lovely weekend. Next week, I'll see what we're doing. Should be a new lesson next week. And that's our lesson for reverse riva done. We should have quite a bit of knowledge on that now. See you soon. Take care, bro. See you, Steve. Have a lovely one. If you guys want any lessons, Steve, just let me know. If you want a certain guard or something, we can take a look at it. Alright. And then